Hey guys, it's Taylor with All Dogs Off-Road. It has been a minute, more like 6 months since we worked on the Samurai, but we're back at it. I believe today we're going to attempt to replace the head gasket and find the issue with what's going on. Chad, would you like to explain more of that issue?
Yeah, to recap, I don't remember if we got this on video last time we worked on the Samurai, but it's always run a little rough, a little weak. I mean, it's a 1.3 liter engine, so it's about the cc's of a motorcycle engine. And when we went up to Omaha and got it, it ran pretty weak, and my initial assumption was, it's got bigger tires on it. The gearing must be off. So we started that process, and the back end is re-geared. But we kind of dug in a little bit deeper, and we did a compression test, and numbers 1 and 4 came back good, but numbers 2 and 3, if I remember correctly, were like 20 or 30 psi. And so at the point we're at right now, we think that there may be some blown out material between the number 2 and number 3 cylinder from the head gasket. So what we're doing today is we're going to pull the cylinder head off and try and get down to the bottom of the low compression that we experience. So I imagine that a lot of this video is going to be, what do they call it, time warp or
Sped up.
That's
Double speed. Two-step.
Kind of getting down into there. So I've already started working on the cooling system. The cooling system's going to come out to give us access to the timing cover, and then hopefully we'll yank this head off and we won't see any catastrophic nightmare fuel.
It may end your tears if there's problems.
There may be in this video a section where Taylor is crying.
I wore waterproof mascara today, so
we'll see if that holds up or not.
It'll be like a get ready with me and a car replacement,
and a meltdown.
That's just where we're at. That's just where we are right now.
But we'll get at it.
Here goes nothing. So now that we took this off, we have the tensioner that we had to loosen up to get the timing belt off.
Sorry, Taylor.
And hopefully we're one step closer to getting to this head. Maybe.
That's what she said. So we were kind of going back and forth on what would be the easiest way or most efficient way to separate the cylinder head. We could do one of two things. We could leave the intake on and pull the head with the intake attached, but I think just from looking at the number of hoses and wires that are coming off of this intake, that it might be easier to pull the intake off and kind of push it aside rather than disconnect all this gobbledygook. A lot of this is old emissions equipment. This was like a computer-controlled carburetor originally. We have a new carburetor that would go on in place of the majority of that. But the approach we're taking right now is we're going to remove the intake from the cylinder head, push everything aside, and then the exhaust manifold. These bolts are already all loose. Thankfully, nothing broke. so we won't be, trying to fight getting the manifold off. And Taylor has a rad new header that will go in its place at some point, but that's what we're doing right now.
So since Chad doesn't have any faith in me to help out up front as he's taking things apart, I'll give you a little tour of the things that we've done that we may not have captured in the last couple videos. So I did order this tire cover since we got all new wheels and tires on this except for the spare, and there was just a missing part. We took the old one off and I just wanted to cover it so it matched the rest of them. And then I also, if you remember, it had that really gross purple tint that was peeling off in certain places. I scraped it all off the back with a heat gun and a razor blade, and that took probably 2 or 3 hours. And then we started on these side windows here, and I got halfway done and realized that you couldn't really reach with this bar. So we did go from the inside and take the entire glass out and then laid it on the ground. And that was a lot easier to scrape everything and get every nook and cranny. Putting it back on was a lot harder than I expected because you have to center it and make sure it seals correctly. But I had some help, and now they're back.
So everything is loose, and we are pulling the head bolts right now, and we'll heave the cylinder head off in a minute here.
And then we'll have our answer.
Maybe.
So we got the top off, and our suspicions were correct. The head gasket between 2 and 3 is worn so far down you can see the metal underneath. So we're going to take lots of pictures and post them to social media. And we have the part, so we're going to take it off and replace it, and that should hopefully fix my problem, and it's not something more serious that's going to interfere with the budget on this build. Now that we got the top half of the engine off, I am going to take off this gasket here and clean it up, and then I'm also going to clean up the spot where the head gasket was, so when we put the new one on, it'll seal correctly. Using brake cleaner, but since this is aluminum, I'm not going to use anything too strong so that I don't scratch it and make it harder for the gasket to stick. So there you go.
We prepped all the surfaces here, the cylinder head at the exhaust, the head gasket itself, and then also on the intake. Everything is clean and smooth there. Just about everything is clean and smooth here. We got the cylinder head done. We've got the exhaust manifold. We just have to do the intake. Once that's cleaned up, we'll put the head gasket on, put the cylinder head on, and start torquing down and reassembling.
While everything was taken apart, we went ahead and replaced the water pump. This is the old one. It's kind of gooey and gross. We also replaced the tensioner and the belt, and now all we have to do is put it back together and add the covers. Going to be installing a Toyota 3K carburetor. It's an upgrade for a lot of Samurais. We're gonna get this sucker in. So we got everything put back together. We got it started. So now that everything's put back together, we're good until next time, where we'll probably do the starter and replace the battery. Bye, thanks for watching.
Your 10 seconds of fame. Good enough.
Decide if I'm gonna run them through my clean hair.
I
Oh!
hope you're getting that on. Quit breathing on me. So.
Take two.
So.
So.
Yeah.
So.
So.